Hello, I'm Rhys Shearsmith.
And I am Steve Pemberton. And this is the audio commentaries for Series 3 of Inside No.9.
The first that we've done officially.
Yes.
So we've only been asked to do them quite recently, and we haven't watched them for a while, so it's going to be quite revealing. Look, there's the hair.
The silver hair, which if you've been a fan of Inside No.9, you will know appears. That little statue there that we just went past of a hair is in every single episode of Inside No.9 somewhere.
Peter Sutcliffe.
So let's jump in and say what the genesis of this episode
yes.
was. Rhys and I have a little office in Muswell Hill where we both live, and
don't tell them that, they'll come looking.
They won't, nobody cares.
Correct.
And we go for lunch every day, and we used to go to the same place. There are now two places that vie for our attention, but at the time we were writing Series 3 there was one place.
That's right.
And we used to go in there every day, and we heard this, there were three people, one man and two ladies.
Yeah, very elderly.
Quite elderly, and they just got the bill, and they were arguing over who was going to pay.
Yes, and it wasn't arguing to not pay it, it was to pay it.
Yeah.
So it was, put it away, Margaret, we insist.
No, because you got it last time.
It doesn't matter, put it away. So it was an interesting take on the thing of paying a bill, because it was passive aggressive, and it was the fact they wanted to pay it and not pay it that was the interesting thing to us. And we thought, could that be a number 9?
Well, that's our catchphrase when we're in writing mode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, whatever situation we're in, we're like, could that be a number 9?
Someone gets on the tube and sits opposite us with a strange hat on. Could that be a number 9?
Well, that's going to come up in future series.
Yes.
But so that was the little spark, and we often just look for a little spark that we just think, and it was a really intriguing challenge to say, can you just sit around a dining table for the full half an hour and have people arguing about
a bill? Yeah, all of these are quite challenging because you are setting them in one place generally. A lot of these stories in this series are all real time, aren't they? And we don't really flit around in time. So to tell a story and not really leave is quite hard, because you stop yourself, stop allowing yourself the exposition time when you've moved away and come back and things have moved on. So this is an unfolding argument that we stay with them the entire time. And it was a challenge for Guillaume, I think, to film it and make it look. Keep it interesting.
This is our director. We need to settle on a pronunciation.
It is Guillaume, isn't it?
Guillaume, yeah, Guillaume.
Guillaume.
Spanish.
Doesn't really matter.
Guillaume Morales, who did a What?
He says it's Guillaume.
Guillaume. I don't know. I contest that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, let's just do it a variety of ways.
A Spanish man directs this program,
and the first episode of each series that we've done has always been a very
I'm taking my coat off, sorry.
Okay. A very claustrophobic episode, and like the first series we were in Sardines in the Wardrobe, the second one we did La Couchette in the train compartment. In a way, this is just as claustrophobic, because our director Guillaume had to find a way of shooting this in an interesting way. For 90% of it, it's the four of us stationary around that table.
Yeah.
Whilst we're in a big room, it's not like La Couchette where people were moving up and down. We were playing on 3 different planes. It's a very tricky job, I think, directing wise. Yeah. He's done a brilliant.
And eating and sitting around a table is always a slightly wearisome experience when you're filming it, because it does become a bit plodding when you just go around the houses filming everyone's perspective. However, Guillaume, that director man, is really good at. He's so rigorous with the storyboarding. He's sort of filmed it in his head, hasn't he? And then he picks up the pieces later on. He literally has the storyboards on set and he crosses them off.
Very filmic.
As he collects the pieces, that will put together the story. And it's such a. It becomes a piece of art, I think, because he's really thought about it, and it's. You feel very confident in his hands because he's thought of and makes it better than we imagined, which is what you always want with collaboration.
So
unless it's wrong and it doesn't do what we want it to do, in which case it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yep.
Well, we'll point out the wrong bits.
Yes,
Talk about the piss mints.
Yes,
this became a catchphrase amongst the crew, didn't it?
Piss minch, yeah. I'm surprised no one had heard of them. But where was it? We always talked about it, haven't we, since the 90s.
Well, I think piss mints in restaurants have died out a little bit for that reason. You get individually wrapped ones now. But, it was in the papers that people coming out with fecal matter on their fingers, dipping in and spreading it around, and it's not healthy. But then another thing, did you not see Dragon's Den where someone invented a plastic thing to use on opening a door? Because if you think of people coming out of a toilet and touching a door handle with fecal matter on their hands, and you go in...
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but someone had invented on Dragon's Den a plastic device that you would use to open a toilet door. You would fish it out of your wallet, where it fit very neatly.
Well, that's like the... no, that's OCD.
Is it? Yeah. I don't think they got investment.
A little bit. There was a Morka Mindy once, and he became like that, and he had to live in a bubble, and he realised he couldn't, because you've got to go out in the world.
You do have to face things.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. So let's talk about the cast now. I was going to talk about Ellie White. Here we go. Ellie plays the waitress Anya.
Anya. Well, yes. Here she does. Then she becomes something else, doesn't she?
All right.
I have to presume that people have watched it. If you're watching this now with the commentary on for the first time, then you're an idiot. Turn it off and watch it fully without the commentary, because we're going to talk about it.
It's early days to start insulting the audience. Leave that till about episode 3 or 4, please.
Okay, yeah.
We don't want to get into...
But what's unusual about doing this now is I don't know what people have made of it, so I can't damn them.
We should, we'll talk about Ellie White in a second, but we'll just paint the picture. We're on the 12th of July. Theresa May's just been elected. We've just had the whole Brexit. Well, I'm just painting the picture.
All right.
And we're in the midst of all this turmoil.
Could that be a number 9?
Adam Tandy, our producer, is pointing out she has not been elected. She's just been shuffled in because every other cunt has dropped out of the race. I think I'm allowed to say that. The people who put us in this mess have now all fucked off, and we are left with Theresa May. And that's just painting the picture of where we are. We've made the episodes, we're waiting them to be transmitted. Anyway, Ellie White had been in this show called People Time, which was a fantastic pilot made by, I think, BBC Three, heralded across the board by everybody, and then not picked up for a series. But she came across really strongly in that, and I thought she'd make a fantastic Anya. And it's nice for us. Sometimes we do a lot of high-end casting in these Inside Number 9s, and it's nice to, what's the phrase? Send the lift back down for up-and-coming emerging talent.
Yeah, that is a phrase.
So
I don't agree with it, but
well, I think she had a very nice time, and she went on from this to do The Windsors for Channel 4.
She did. She was doing that one. She was in two minds, and she asked our advice whether she should do it.
And we said,
"Wow, you must decide for yourself."
Yeah, and she, well, I don't know.
She did it anyway. So.
And then Phil Glenister. I've known Phil for years because a friend of ours at Gordon, who we were at Bretton Hall with, went to Central and shared a flat with Phil. So I've known him for years and years.
Well, yeah, we did a play with him, didn't we? Well, I was even in it, was I?
Oh, what was that?
The Honest Whore.
The Honest Whore, yes, of course.
606 Theatre, which was a theatre group that Steve... What did you do? What was your official...
I was a producer.
A producer?
And founding member of this theatre company.
Yeah, and we did it
Did
in
anyone
Soho.
famous, apart from me and you and Mark Gatiss, were in the plays? Phil Glenister.
Phil Glenister was very famous, I think, now, you would say. We were lucky to have him, weren't we? And then Jason, who's the only person we've ever had return.
Not quite true.
Who else?
What, because he was in Psychoville, you
That's what I mean,
Jason Watkins, Psychoville. We had Stacey Liu.
Oh, yes.
In
no,
the 12 Days of Christine.
That's true.
And we used Vilma Hollingbury, who was Mrs. Ladybirdface. She was the voice in Cold Comfort.
Yeah. But, yeah, so it's not a hard and fast.
This is a nice shot. And there was music over this, and we took it off, didn't we?
We thought it took away from the humour.
Yeah.
It made it more dreadful in it. Not dreadful, but there's something more...
Full of dread.
About it. And we thought that's not correct for that moment. It was meant to be a funny thing that he's having to pay the bill.
Now, when I watched this edit for the first time, the moment when he says he'll pay the bill, what we just witnessed there made me laugh out loud, which is very rare. And Jason is a master with props, it has to be said. You'll notice every little pile of coins, every folded up £5 note, the vouchers. He was in charge. He was the master of his domain, and he's brilliant with all that stuff. He just gets the most out of every moment, and that's what you need in something like Inside Number 9, because it's very specific.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, most of the people that we get in these are just they're asked to be in it, aren't they? And we presume that they'll be able to do it. It's no audition.
They are asked.
They are asked.
Yes, they don't ask.
No, they don't ask.
Some of them do.
Yeah, and it's a great thing that I can say with almost certainty that all of the people that we've asked to do it have not failed us, have they? They've done, and they've been better than we imagined. They've been right for the parts.
Yeah, and they've had a great time.
Yeah. I think it's a fun thing for an actor to come in and do these little plays for a week. It's a great, and they all respond to the script, and I think that's a rarity.
So we weren't sure when we wrote these characters. We weren't sure about the character of Craig here, Phil's character, because he's the only one really, if you've seen the episode, who's not playing some kind of game or some kind of character. Yeah. We didn't know whether to make him a sort of real London Cockney wide boy or whether to make him a posh idiot kind of Hooray Henry type.
Yes, there was a bit of both, wasn't there, to begin with?
There was a bit of both, and I think Phil does have that bit of both, but he does have that proper London.
I think we upped it when we knew it was him, didn't we?
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, it's the script of this. I mean, we didn't write it, did we, knowing that it was all going to be a game by the end? And I know Guillaume, the director, didn't respond immediately well to the idea that they had been acting it the entire time, because I think he felt that it was a shame that all those stakes were not for real.
You'd invested in the story of these four guys.
And it was like, oh, right, so they're not really arguing, it was all been a trick. But I think without it, we would have had a real murder.
Yeah. And
it was just we just imagined the moment, and it does work very well when he steps on her hand. You'll see it later on, and it's all been a trick. And I think that is worth, I think, undermining the rest of the episode, because that's your ending.
Also, if you watch it again, and maybe you have because you've bought the DVD, you'll see little clues and little looks and little moments, like the moment when my character Malcolm mentions the name of your wife, and he clearly wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah,
he's got carried away, and there's a little look there, and you see little hints that they're looking towards Jason's character Kevin, because he's obviously the boss at the end of the day. So there was stuff in there that made it enjoyable on a second watch, and that's what we always aim for with these number 9s.
Yeah. Limoncello, I've never had it. It was horrible, that drink. It was like lemon liquid.
You don't know whether to wash up the pots in it or down it.
My favourite line in the whole series of number 9 is, you wait till come back with a lemon and a cello. Still makes me laugh now.
We always used to have these after any meal in Benidorm when we went out, and it was the undoing of Janine Davitsky many times.
What? Because she'd have too much?
She'd have too many. Because they used to plonk the bottle and leave you with the bottle, fatal.
Right.
And she used to keep pouring on about her 8th glass and go, "It's only lemon." And then she'd be found on the toilet floor. Anyway, that's not slander, it's because it actually happened. I saw it with my own eyes.
So this restaurant, we filmed it at night time, did we?
Yeah.
It was never blacked out.
Well, we started earlier, but Phil was the poor sod who, because he's facing
the window, all his bits were at night time.
They had to be, because you needed that. You could see the traffic going past there, the night lights, and of course everything had to be because we were meant to be in a northern restaurant, and that is so. Any time a London bus went past, we had to.
Yeah, get rid of it. And in fact, I think some do, but by changing the tint of the yellow of the signage, it suddenly doesn't look like a bus anymore.
We disappeared them.
Yes, it's weird.
But so we would start maybe in the afternoon. We would film. We would go around the table. Of course, everyone got their own singles, and anything to do with Phil had to be at the very end. So you'd have thought he'd have got his performance under wraps.
Yeah, because he'd done it all day long.
Yeah,
or not on camera.
What's also true is that you get sick of doing it, and that you are brilliant in the first couple of goes, and then you start to question yourself. But Phil did neither of those things.
No, it's great.
He's very funny. He makes me laugh a lot.
I mean, this is a nice this kind of thing where you're having a friends rowing. It always reminds me of that play Art. I think there was an element of that as well when we were writing this. It was because essentially it appears that nothing's happening, but there is sort of reveals about their situation and their status in that group, aren't there? As the script goes on.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we were aiming for. We were aiming for different sections, so it is a very relentless argument, it has to be said, but that was part of what we were trying to achieve.
The funny thing about this episode was it ran short, didn't it? When we did it, we try generally, and I think we're sort of around the right marker when we're writing them, so they're half an hour, but this was coming in so short because it was such a quick fire script.
Yeah, the dialogue does go at 100 miles an hour, and we wrote a whole section, when the limoncellos come in, we wrote a whole section about a drinking game that they played called S&P.
That we thought we might need if it was too short.
And we ended up, we didn't film it, we cut it before, but it's a good game, that.
Yeah.
If things dry up, we'll play it later, but you've basically got to do word association and not say anything to do with S and not beginning with
yeah,
H.
but we didn't need it in the end because we thought there is... It's very hard. I don't quite know how anyone does it, but there is someone there whose job it is to say it's running at 24 minutes and reading it and leaving gaps.
It's hard to tell,
but it's really hard to tell and get it right.
Because as we'll see as we go on, there's another episode that ended up being two episodes that ended up being quite a lot
too long.
longer.
Yes, yeah, and that's hard because these things oftentimes there's barely anything to cut. The thing that you can cut are the jokes.
Take us through your characterisation on the character of Archie.
Well, just me. Very angry. I like doing this bit because I thought it appeared to be... I think you might think it was real for the moment it happens. And then you come back in. William got very obsessed with the shot when you come back in, wasn't he? This big elephant running back into the camera.
I did have padding on,
Angry
have to
elephant.
say.
Yes, you did.
I did have padding.
You did have padding. It's good having padding, then you can let your belly flop out and you don't... It's just behind the padding and you think, I'm not that fat.
I love here this little watching Jason sort of lovingly following the story of this colleague who went into hospital.
Oh yeah,
look at him. He's completely in love with him, isn't he?
When I was doing Betty Blue Eyes, the musical, and David Bamber was in the part, we'd been done it for 8 months and he was absolutely sick of it, and there was one point where we had to quick fire. We ran off the stage, said a minute off the stage, and then back on again. And in that little gap, he just said, "Take me to Dignitas." He begged me to take him and put him down.
Dignitas.
Dignitas, yeah. Take me to Dignitas. Yeah, he was sick of it, but that's the actor, David Bamber.
Yeah, so we did hope at this point that people might think that is his real reason for being so adamant about paying the bill, and then we're about to undermine it with this funny shot of the elephants, the so-called elephants. I mean,
with the curly wig on.
It was. He kept saying, "Oh, here we go."
Elephant with a. There it is.
Baba the elephant.
Baba the elephant. And the same blue.
I asked for a wig, and I said a sort of Eddie Large look, and I think that's what we've achieved.
You've got it.
I mean, Eddie Large back in the day when he was doing his, act, not the Eddie Large which has got very lank hair now.
Yes, I know. Well, he's
like
older.
He is older, and he's had a couple of hard-tops, and we wish him well. But back in the day, the heyday of Eddie Large. And that was my own beard. I grew a beard and shaped it into a goatee.
Well, it's always the way where you can have a beard to begin with, and then they have to slowly get taken off in different shapes.
Yes.
Because there's no time to recoup. The sound looks out of sync. I know it's not.
Don't say that.
It does.
We're sitting in front of the man who did the sound.
I know, but has he done something wrong?
The award-nominated, hopefully winning, Matt Brace.
Well, we'll see.
And there's a little thing with the bill here, which is slightly annoying because it's flopped down there.
Don't.
Down, and then...
Don't point them out to them.
We do. It's down, and then it's about to become erect. Oh, that's semi-erect.
I wouldn't have thought that was a problem.
Oh, well, it bothered me.
In an edit.
Right, so it's flopping there. Oh, look, it's right, pointing up now.
Someone did it in the move.
There is this is by the bypass, but there is a level of which a penis can be shown in terms of its erection. And I think it's Adam, you'll know this. What part of the country is it? Italy's all right because that's pointing down, but there is a certain level.
I don't think it's relevant to this episode.
Miss, will you bring us the sharpest knife in your kitchen, please?
No.
In Britain.
There we go.
Well, now we know.
We're not allowed to show an erect penis. Can Adam be heard when he's talking, or do we have to relay what he said? He can't be heard, right? Right, he said you're not allowed to show an erect penis, so we know that now.
So suddenly we get into where this episode suddenly feels like a number 9, because a knife is suddenly brought out into play, and you think, oh my God, what are they going to do? And I remember umming and ahhing about whether to do this game, because it feels a bit familiar, but we thought it suddenly ups the jeopardy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we felt we'd pushed the whole argument, and we'd done it every which way. Every single person had their moment. We'd done Kevin not wanting to pay, we'd done Craig's, we'd had them all make their case, and it had to go up a level. And we still, when we wrote this, didn't know what was going to happen. We knew there was going to be an accident and the waitress's throat was going to be cut. Yeah. We didn't, as we were writing it, we didn't know that he was going to step on her hand. And
yeah, well, which is why it's all played authentically, because it was written that way.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a cheat to think that we added it on.
We cheated ourselves.
If
anything.
If anything. But you never knew that until now, so you can't now retrospectively not like it as much. Please, viewer. And this is a funny moment when he's holding on, waiting for the handle to go to the top. I'm just waiting for it to go to the top.
We're enjoying the tension, I think.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for it.
Brilliant. So lucky in this country to have so many very, very talented dramatic and comic actors that we can draw upon.
Yeah, because they are skillfully, these things, they are comic. They're blackly comic. It does require a sensibility.
Now, talk us through
this, because this was a very... It looks like it's nothing happening here, but of course we can't have the actors harmed in any way. So this was done with multiple layers, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did stabbing an empty breadboard. We did a hand there by itself.
Then we did a rubber knife with a real hand. So every which way was sort of created, and then layer upon layer was added, and the whole thing seamlessly looks like it's a real knife going past and fast through real fingers.
Yeah.
And there was talk of us casting our hands, wasn't there? Having rubber hands. In the end, they thought, let's try and do it for real.
Well, they would have just sat there and not done anything. That's the trouble.
Not flinched.
Yeah.
He hasn't got a tumour, remember?
Oh, yeah, carry on.
So, this is a bit of sort of psychological play here by Malcolm.
Yeah. I know.
So, if this was... Well, it is a scam. Would the person who is playing Archie have actually stabbed his own fingers?
He does, yeah, and there's a line, isn't there? What about my fucking fingers?
Yeah.
He's done it for authenticity's sake.
That's high risk.
I know, but he thinks it's worth it.
Maybe it's one of those things like he has to be... It's like Les Dawson and the piano. He has to be very good in order to look so bad.
I suppose, yeah.
So probably...
He's much slower than you.
Yeah, but maybe that's an act.
Oh, yeah, I think
because he's trying to... Look, I love how Phil gets really worked up.
Into it, yeah. And it was funny. I wonder what do we think he's got in his bedroom drawer? He's very...
Oh, you can't...
You never make out what it is, do we?
Some special stuff from Hilary Briss.
Right.
Now, this, to me... is an electrifying moment, really well directed and conceived.
I missed. There was a much louder swish on the neck, and I miss it. It got took off.
Yeah, but she hasn't actually been stabbed.
I know. That's the reality. But in the moment, you want to think she has.
Well, I do think you get that.
Well, I guess you do. Yeah.
Here we go.
And we did. There was a whole thing wrong with this. Remember when we filmed it and the window was not closed behind her? We had to film it again when she sits up.
Oh, I don't remember that. Oh, yes,
we did it wrong. There was because we jumped out of sequence. There was a thing where the blinds were not down.
Yeah.
But
so
we did
suddenly
it again.
It becomes one of those stories where these seemingly innocent guys have found themselves with a dead body.
Yes, yeah. And how are they going to deal with it? And suddenly, look, Archie kicks into survival mode. He's got people on the inside because he's had time in prison.
We've set that up.
He goes off and makes a phone call.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to give his credit.
Yes, use it. And then...
now, you didn't like this bit.
I didn't like this shot. It looks like the vampire. Look, there's Lestat. Licking his fingers of the blood. I wanted it cut, but people liked it because they thought it was prevailed. Well, it was sort of, bully. But, it was used in the end because it was sort of like you were playing... I understood the argument. It was like you were playing up to the act.
The drama
of
it, yes.
So then, look, you just say, let's blame him. I come back and I sort out everything.
Mm. I think it's...
I've no reason to think it's a trick, is there?
No. There's a really good David Mamet film. They did a play of it, didn't they? A House of Games, and it has a very similar quality to that. So that you when something really bad happens, you're so caught up in the moment, and it goes so quickly. You haven't got time to think, could this be a con?
Yes.
There's no sense that it might be a con.
No.
So when the moment happens, hopefully it's just one of those great Inside No.9 moments where you kind of go, oh.
Yeah, I mean, the risk we run these days is that people are looking for it because they're thinking, well, what's the undercutting?
Yeah.
All is never as it seems, potentially. So you might be looking for it. So that's always hard. It's getting harder to hide it. But I think this one is all right. I think you get away with it on this one.
Oh, I don't think you could have a sense it's been a con.
Yeah.
Other than, I don't know.
I remember when, toward the end, when it's almost about him having the money, I think you might just start to think, oh, wait a minute. But you're really thinking outside the box to think it.
Yes.
So I think you will just go along with it. People I've shown it to have not ever got it.
Guillaume, whatever his name is, he very much isolated Phil Craig here. These shots, it's the three of us and him on his own, and you'll see subtly throughout that is another game he's played, so that we are constantly performing for each other as the characters, and he's always on his own.
Yes, and how it's landing and working on him.
Yeah. So. And where was this place? It was in Hendon?
Yeah, I think so,
Hendon.
Yeah. It was the producer, Adam Tandy, was very kind in this series, and he orchestrated a lot of where we were filming, near us, because the last two have been far away.
Yes. We were North London, we had very quick journeys home.
It was good.
And there's this sort of pub, bar and nightclub area next door, and it's all part of the same building, and we just used the restaurant bit of it.
Yeah.
And it worked well.
And suddenly she's a different person. She's been acting.
Yeah.
And
we did experiment at one point that they all dropped into different characters. Like Malcolm was going to be really camp, and everyone was going to speak in a really different voice. And we thought that was probably a bit too theatrical. And that when people are doing cons, they play close to themselves, don't they? They're not actors as such.
I think it's more convincing that way.
And I just love the sort of sinisterness that Jason brings into it here. Still quiet, but he becomes authoritatively quiet.
It's nice that the little one that they've been bullying is actually the boss, yes. So it's a nice twist. And that's all those pipes and things. We had to sort of try to work out a way that apparently they'd done the blood in this way.
Yeah.
Which you would buy.
Yeah, absolutely, you could do it, because the blood would go through a pipe in her wrist, and so when she puts her hand up, what you see is the blood coming out through that pipe.
And we did write it so that it's Archie that actually sort of organises where the knife goes when he gets
absolutely
back.
Yeah, it's his hand on the wrist of because you're holding them.
I'm holding it, yes. Yeah. I sort of you could if you look back and think, well, how has he done that?
It is a very elaborate scam. There's probably easier ways to get 200 grand out of someone.
Yeah.
But it's obviously worked for them in the past.
You just tried to rob me of 200 grand.
I know.
You got a free meal.
And then we weren't quite sure what would give a really satisfying ending. We've done the twist.
Yeah, it's sort of been
and you don't want them to peter out, do you? You always want a nice end moment.
Well, so we added in, didn't we, this there's his line that he has which seeds the ending, which is I'm looking for a bit of excitement, and
yes,
and we thought that just slightly helps the idea that he would join them.
Yes,
which is the final.
Yeah, you got the sense he was weary of living in London. He liked climbing in the Rocky Mountains in Canada. And the next best thing to that is to join a group of...
And that's him, but you don't realise it yet.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, yes. So that's why he's suddenly...
I'll give you £20 if you remember his name.
I can't remember his name, but I know that he created, probably, the 39 Steps play. He was telling us all about it, wasn't he?
Allegedly, yes.
Well,
he was certainly involved.
He was.
Very nice chap.
And there's Ellie now, just like, obviously, a bit like the dolly bird that's got him roped in.
Yeah.
And there he is.
They're having to split the money 5 ways now, though.
Yes, I know.
Callum was his name.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. So there we go. That's what we think will probably be the opening. We don't know the running order yet, so forgive us if we get it out of sync. But we think that's a really strong opening episode, a very gettable episode, and we hope you've enjoyed it.
And we'll see you if you, in an insane decision, just watch the next one.